and I'm coming to you live. And this is an October 12th edition of This Day in African American Baseball History. Of course, my name is Phil Dixon, and the reason you're chiming in here is because I'm a baseball historian who's been specializing in baseball history, especially on the Negro Leagues for 45 years. But as far as baseball history combined, it probably goes probably another maybe 60 years. So I've been doing this basically all my life. I started out as a kid in the second grade collecting baseball cards, and it just escalated from there. So today I've got some special things that happened on October 12th. Of course, today is October 12th, 2025. So we're going to jump right in there and give you some interesting things. I'm going to wrap it up today with a little celebration on a ball player named Pete Hill. I think you need to know more about him, and I'm going to make sure that you do. And I think that he was one of the all-time greats, and I'm about to prove this just based on one season. Excuse me. So let's jump right in here. Give him a couple of things that happened on October 12th. Let's go back to 1906. 1906, October 12th, Eddie Plank tossed a 5-hitter, and Emmett Bowman tossed a 3-hit game as the Philadelphia Athletics defeated the Philadelphia Giants by a 5-4 score in Chester, Pennsylvania. Harry Buckner hit a home run, described as one of the longest hits of the season. And Pete Hill picked up hits off of Plank, Rube, and how about this? Pete Hill picked up hits off of Plank, and Rube Waddell umpired the game. So a lot of things going in there. So Plank struck out, excuse me, I don't know where I got Plank from. He struck out 7 and Bowman struck out 6. Now what you're finding there is that you've got guys from the Negro Leagues that are right on the par with these guys that is when I first started collecting baseball cards, were considered the all-time greats. I'm having a rough time this morning. But the thing is, the guys at the American National League were talked about often, where we never heard anything in my generation related to Emmett Bowman or Pete Hill or Harry Buckner. If you listen to my broadcast, guys, you can see that I really push Harry Buckner. If you listen, you'll see I always push Emmett Bowman. Frank Wickware is another one I talk about quite a bit. Oh boy, I can think Richard Whitworth is another one. I talk about Bullet Rogan. So there's certain people that I'm talking about all the time. It's not because I just like talking about them. It's because their outstanding achievements keep coming up. So when I think of Eddie Plank, lefty, pitching for the Philadelphia Athletics, just walked into the Hall of Fame, I think about Emmett Bowman. Not actually, I think about Bowman, but I really think about Dan McClellan. Dan McClellan was an outstanding left-handed pitcher at the turn of the century, and we're not talking about him enough. So we're going to change that here. If you come to my broadcast, you're going to hear all these names mentioned over and over and over again, and you're going to really learn some history about what happened to our ancestors in African American baseball history, right? So on this day, Eddie Plank, Hall of Famer, he's enshrined in Cooperstown, New York. He's facing black guys, and he did get the victory that day, but I'd like to say Emmett Bowman ran neck and neck with him and probably outpitched him. And of course, Harry Buckner, man, this guy was one of the best he was the best home run hitting pitcher in baseball at that time. And he had a home run off a Plank. So that doesn't surprise me. Maybe it surprises you. But if you follow, like I said, you follow me, and I'm talking about Buckner all the time. This guy was a complete ball player, and I like talking about him. Okay, so that's 1906. So let's jump over to 1918. This time of year, you get a lot of games that are played against the American National League players by guys who are members of some of the elite Negro League teams. So that's going to be like at turn of the century, the Cuban X Giants, the Philadelphia Giants, the Cuban Giants. You're going to get a lot of those games played. And so I like to talk about that period because in that particular time, maybe through about 1920, you could play teams almost intact from the American National League. So it's an interesting period to talk about. So, but anyway, this particular game that I'm going to talk about next that happened on October 12th, 1918, actually involved two very good African American teams. So, and some pretty big name players. So, John Donaldson, he pitched a better game than Cyclone Joe Williams to lead the Brooklyn Royal Giants to a 6-1 win over the Lincoln Giants at New York's Dexter Park. Donaldson pitched a six-hitter and struck out 5 for the win. He also picked up a hit and scored 2 of his team's runs. Okay, John Donaldson, another guy I talk about quite a bit, and I always like to say he's been up on the Hall of Fame ballot 3 times. 3 times he's gone down. This guy was a tremendous pitcher, but he was also a great hitter. And John Donaldson needs to be recognized. And eventually, guys, I'm going to tell you, the Hall of Fame can't keep passing over this guy. And so hopefully at some point, maybe they'll let me be a voter and I can persuade people why he needs to be in Cooperstown. In 2021, I believe it was, I was part of the team who put the ballot together. That was the year that Bud Fowler and Buck O'Neill were enshrined in the Hall of Fame. But that year we didn't get John Donaldson, but he was on the ballot. And for the last 2 celebrations, this past year in 2024 and the one in 2021, I've given ceremonies, one of them in a restaurant and one of them at my house last year. Last year I had Bullet Rogan's granddaughter and Satchel Paige's great-grandchildren and his daughter and his grandchildren. Fred Langford, who played for the Kansas Giants back in 1910, I had his descendant over here. And we were pulling for John Donaldson again, pulling for Vic Harris, pulling for, who else were we pulling for? Dick Allen. Dick Allen, who was my favorite player growing up. So we were pulling for all these people, and out of that group, Dick Allen got in, but not Donaldson or Vic Harris. I thought Vic Harris should be given strong consideration for the Hall of Fame. These guys are elite players that are just not getting the national recognition through these organizations. Some players, there's even guys out here like Bruce Petway and Larry Brown aren't even in their state's Hall of Fame. This is ridiculous, guys. For baseball history, it's ridiculous for American history for us to continue to act like this is normal. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that Cyclone Joe Williams. Later on, they called him Smokey Joe Williams. He is enshrined in Cooperstown. Also, John Donaldson. We know that he's waiting. He's waiting in the wings. And but on this particular day, hey, how about it? John Donaldson outpitched Smokey Joe Williams, and I like to call him Cyclone Joe Williams. So you hear me use them interchangeably through my conversation with them. 2 very good teams. The Brooklyn Royal Giants. The only year that John Donaldson played in the East, 1918, with the Brooklyn Royal Giants. He's basically known as a Western player, having come from the All Nations. Started off with a team I've covered extensively over the years, the Browns Tennessee Rats, who were never from Tennessee. They were from Holden, Missouri. I've presented there. I've been presented in Donaldson's hometown, too, which is Glasgow, Missouri. So it's over there by Columbia, where the University of Missouri is. So not very far from there. Get off at the Boonville exit. I know the route very well. And it's a river town. Many towns in Missouri were built right along the river as the state opened up, and many people moved their slaves from all parts of the country into Virginia. So, into Missouri. So I wouldn't doubt that John Donaldson ended up in Missouri as part of that migration when Missouri opened up as a state. So I haven't checked that deep, but I'd love to do that and find out. Okay, so here we go. And then here we go. Let's go, and I'm going to talk about a guy. And I do a thing called comings and goings. And comings means somebody who was born on October the 12th. And so today, one of the coming is going to be Pete Hill, John Preston Pete Hill. He was born October the 12th, 1882. And so let's come on here and let's talk about Pete Hill. So who is Pete Hill? Wow. To me, my estimation, Pete Hill is certainly rates among the all-time greats. When I think about greats at the turn of the century and well into the 1920s, I like talking about Pete Hill. So let's talk about Pete Hill. And I'm going to break it down to, because I'm wrapping up a book on the 1905 Philadelphia Giants, and I've really been digging into every game, game by game by game, all right? So here we go. Let's talk about Pete Hill. Okay, so Pete Hill in 1905 had one fabulous season, and he rated right along with the all-time greatest in that season. And I did make some notes, okay? And you might find these to be interesting, okay? So first of all, he had 209 hits. Now keep in mind, if you go out to the search engine, right, and say you put in 1905 Philadelphia Giants and you put in Pete Hill, you're not going to find that he has 209 hits, because what they're doing out here, these guys who are putting statistics, they're just talking about the games he played against other black teams. But in 1905, there was no reason to stop and just talk about the games he played against other black teams. You need to basically talk about everything that he did. So I want, I like talking about the entire season. Okay, so here we're going to go. So Pete Hill, 209 hits. And in that particular year, no American League player had 200 hits. Pete Hill did. Now over in the National League, Cy Seymour and also Turkey Mike Donaldson had over 200 hits, but no one in the American League. Okay, how about this? He scored 154 runs, and he did this in 138 box scores that I've been able to find. And so, okay, now the record for the most runs at the turn of this modern century, let's say the 20th century, so we're talking about 1900 moving forward, because baseball had a little different kind of rules prior to that. The record was 145 runs, and that was Napoleon Lajoie in 1901. So Pete Hill surpasses that record. Now, once again, Lajoie's in the American League with Cleveland. So we recognize that, but we don't recognize Pete Hill. But you will when I finish this, because, guys, I'm educating you. All right, so now Pete Hill's runs come from 138 box scores, and we have to keep that in mind. Okay, he also hit 37 doubles that year. What's interesting about 37 doubles is that only 3 of those doubles were hit in losses. So basically when Pete Hill hits, his team wins. Now they only lost 22 games, the whole team only lost 22 games in the entire 1905 season. First of all, that's an outstanding achievement right there. But whenever Pete Hill hit, the Giants won. Philadelphia Giants won. Okay, that's important, because I used to work in Major League Baseball, and I would see players who would hit home runs, and they would hit home runs, and especially I would see guys racking up RBI totals at the end of the season, when their team's, next to last place, buried deep in the standings. And so you look at their records, say, oh, he had 100 RBIs, or he scored 100 runs. But most of them were meaningless, because they came in games when the team was no longer in contention. They didn't win ball games. But that is how we compile statistics for the American National League. We don't look deeper into those results. I like to do that. Okay, so 37 doubles, only 3 of them came in games that the Giants lost. How about this? He had 14 triples. And when he hit a triple, the Philadelphia Giants won every game. So every game that he hit that triple, it was a victory. All right. How about home runs? Okay. He hit 10 home runs that year, and only one came in a loss, and that was on opening day against the All Professionals on April the 1st, 1905. So when he hit a home run, they usually won the game. You think this guy's not one of the most valuable players on his team? Now, this is a team that had Bill Monroe, an outstanding guy, really good, really good. And they had Home Run Johnson, awfully good. And they had Mike Moore, another guy that was just a stellar player. They had some guys. They had some guys that could play. They also had Charlie Grant. He could put the ball in play. Didn't get enough recognition either. But on a team of those stars, Pete Hill is the biggest star. He's the brightest star. And so I like talking about that. Grant Home Run Johnson hit more home runs that year, but Pete Hill hit his home runs, and basically when he hit a home run, the team won every time except one time. All right. How about 36 stolen bases? So he stole 36 stolen bases, which led the 1905 Philadelphia Giants. And only one of those stolen bases came in a game that they lost. So that means when he stole a base, they tended to win that game. Now, this is a complete ball player, all right? And then just kind of summarizing his history, he had 3 games of 5 hits. He had 3 games of 4 hits, 24 games of 2 hits, and 40 games where he hit just 1 hit in a game, right? And that's in 138 box scores that we located. Now, what's interesting is 7 of those box scores are missing the summary. So we don't know in those games if he stole a base. We don't know if he had an extra base hit. We don't know that because that summary is missing. So I have the box score, but no summary. That summary is important because it also lists, strikeouts for pitchers, double plays, many things are consistent in there, walks and everything. So, okay. So that is part of what I'm just telling you on Pete Hill. So I'm going to wrap it up with Pete Hill because today's his birthday, man. I'm just like, this is the guy I really enjoy talking about. And of course, he had 61 confirmed extra base hits in 131 games, right? And Cy Seymour, okay, ended his season with Cincinnati in 1905. He had 69 extra base hits in 149 games. Now remember, Pete Hill, we're only pulling his information from 131 games. And that same year, Hans Wagner, you probably heard of him. You probably heard of that 1910 Hans Wagner baseball card sells for $1 million, boy. I'm telling you, it's a big money card. Hans Wagner had 61 extra base hits in 147 games in 1905. So remember Pete Hill, 61 in 131 games. Cy Seymour, 69 in 149 games. And Hans Wagner, 61 in 147 games, okay? Now, what we have here, many of the games that Pete Hill played in did not include at-bats. So it's difficult to come up with a batting average that he had for that year. And it's very difficult. Now, there's some guys out there who will take someone and they have some kind of computer analysis where they figure they can come up with a batting average. And they've done this for many years. They don't tell you when they did it, but they've done it for many years. But in my case, I don't work that hard to tell you the batting average because I can't accurately compile that information. But here's what I can tell you. I did make a note here. Seymour batted .377 in 149 games. Now remember, he had 16 extra base hits. And Hans Wagner batted .363 in 1905, right? So even though I can't figure Pete Hill's batting average right down to the penny, I do know this. He was definitely way over 350, all right? So he's right there, and you can just look at his contemporaries in the American or National League at that time, and you see that this guy is not somebody they just put in the Hall of Fame for the fun of it. This guy is a legitimate ball player. Hey, Pete Hill may have batted since he had less box scores. Now I'm pulling this information from as many extra. He might have been a 400 hitter. I can't prove it, but guys, do I have to prove it to let you know that he's great? I don't think so. So anyway, that's what we're going to close down on October the 12th. And guys, I see people coming in here. We got some trolls. I let the trolls go because I'm going to tell you something, guys. There are people out here who can't appreciate good scholarship. They don't appreciate good work. And so they come in and they come into broadcast and they show their ignorance. Guys, in America, you are able to speak with freedom. And so guess what? They're free to say what they want to say, and I'm free to say what I want to say. But I'm going to give you good history. I'm going to give you good scholarship. And that's what I've been doing for 45 years, and I'm going to keep on doing it. So guys, if you want to call me names, if you want to come in and look like a fool, everybody's watching you. Everybody's watching you because your picture comes up. But what have you really achieved? You haven't brought us closer together, guys. You haven't educated us. You've basically done nothing except embarrass yourself. So quit embarrassing yourself, guys, and go pick up a book. Crack a book. Look, you can get one of my books if that helps, right? And guys, we'll keep on talking this history. And so, hey, I'm going to close down on October 12th. I think, man, hey, if you don't get the idea that Pete Hill is somebody to be a force, to be a name, to be remembered, guys, you didn't get anything from this broadcast. So I want to thank everybody for joining in and those who stuck with me for as long as you did. I appreciate that. And if you like what I'm doing, be sure to hit that bell and subscribe and come back. And we'll keep on talking baseball history. And I enjoy baseball. I have ever since I walked on the playground in elementary school. And so, you know, I'm still talking about it. Coach for over 30 years. I really enjoy our American national pastime. And I want you to know some of the people who really participated in the history and helped to make this great game our national pastime. Thank you, guys. You have a nice day, and join me again soon, all right? Thank you.